Alright, that Mag Source build a few of y'all been asking me about. Let's start this out with the character sheet. So this is on my back bar right here. As you see, got almost 46k max mag. The health stays the same on both bars, it's almost 25. The spell damage, 2154. Resistances on my back bar higher than the front, but 24, almost 25k spell resist. That will go higher because I am a Breton. Physical resistance at 22, and crit is at 3000. Magical recovery on the back is 1477. That may seem low. That's usually like the sweet spot for me. I don't really need much mag recovery. I can make it work with the sword. Plus, we got tools, old tools and new, to assist us with that mag recovery part right there. 64 in the Magicka. I run the Mage Mundus. You can run whatever you like. Like if you need more max, then run that max right there. You can do like the lover, do whatever you want right there. But I suggest you stay in the mage because it'll help you with defense and offense at the same time. I don't run vampire. I don't recommend it this patch. It's just gonna get you killed much faster. Don't bother. I'm running continuous right now because why not? I always have it when I'm in Cyrodiil. It's pointless not to run. It's pointless to run without it. And that's pretty much it for those. I'm gonna jump into the consumables real quick. I'm using Tristat right now, but I've been told there's a better food that's coming up with the Witches Festival. That's Tristat. So whenever I can get my hands on that, that's what we'll use. Right now, for this build, I only use Tristat potions. I don't really recommend lingering health or especially like spell power because you don't need those anymore. But if I was going to use anything other than the Tristat potions, I would probably use a detect pot so that I can see those knife blades. Or you can go over to something with spell crit on it because we don't have major prophecy. We have minor, but we don't have major. So any of those other potions would work, but I like to run it. Tristat for this one. Into the build, y'all. Everybody want to see. First setup, as you can see, is Crafty Elfique. Why? Because it covers so much more than just like it's not just an offense stat. It's not just a defensive stat. It kind of has a little sustain in there because I mean, by giving you more of that resource pool, essentially, it gives you more to play with. But it covered all those bases in one: defense, sustain, and damage. So it was a no-brainer for me. The video, like one of my videos earlier where you saw me with the submission that I got to Christopher's channel, right? That build had one of the sets on here, but it didn't have Crafty. That was actually Spinners. Spinners is a great set, don't get me wrong. It could still be used on this one right here. You just need to backbar a weapon of your choosing, whatever you want. But the reason I went away from that is because Spinners was strictly damage. I like to build all my builds with defense in mind first, sustain second, damage is last. And all Spinners did was apply damage, which is good, but not for me. So that's why I went with Crafty. On the rest of the staff, I have it infused. You can run Nern. I had Nern for a little bit. It doesn't hurt. I mean, your spell damage will probably get up to 3k if you do that. But again, I opted for infused because I noticed that people get bursted much faster when excuse me, when that shock enchant is always going off. That thing's like going off all the damn time. So, and that applies minor vulnerability. Increasing your damage by 8%. Can't pass that up. Backbar weapon is a wrestle staff with the damage enchant on it. I chose defending for my trait. I always choose defending because, again, defense first. You can run infused here. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just I opt for more of the spell and physical. That's why it's higher on the back bar. And that spell and physical also applies to your shields, which is important. So that was the first set. Next set is a monster set. Bloodspawn is good. Bloodspawn is great. But I need the bar space. And the only way to make more of it to accommodate new skill Degeneration on the bar was to drop Boundless. Boundless is a great skill, but I don't really need that 4 seconds of major expedition to get me out of situations. Like if I'm gonna be sprinting somewhere, I'm just gonna sprint somewhere, and it only gives you the last portion of this 2-piece, which is the 5280 spell and physical. That's all Boundless does. Yeah, it has that little damage component to it, but it's below average. Um, the expedition is not all that long, and I'm not looking to proc heals from it anymore. Like that used to be a good source to proc. It is a good source to proc your, there's that new skill, not it's Power Surge. Like it'll proc the heals from that, but since I'm not using that skill anymore and it doesn't provide sorcery for me, there's no need for it. So that's why I'm running with Trudon now. The 1-piece gives you resistances to, of course, your shields are flat. It's at 3k almost. Can't pass that up. The health isn't bad either. And then, like I said, the 2-piece allows you to drop the skill, giving you room for more on your bar. So if you want to run Blood Spawn, that's an option. I don't know about Pirate Skeleton. I wouldn't personally do it, but it's there for you. But defense, I feel like you should run a defensive monster set. That's why I got it here. Next setup, I have been an advocate for this set for a very long time. I try to put it on all my builds. It doesn't really work on any other builds other than my Sorc. I found out. I've been running this since before Rune Cage was broken. It's just great. This is Seducer, y'all. All my gear is in pin. I wouldn't run with anything else. If I was going to do anything else, surprise, surprise, I'd actually do reinforced. But all my stuff is in pin, and Seducer gives you recovery, max recovery, and the 5th piece on this actually got buffed this patch. This used to be 8%, it's now 10. This synergizes real well with my racial choice, which I've already said is a Breton. I would not recommend running this build with anything other than Breton because that 5th piece set of Seducer synergizes perfectly with this. So we're looking at a, what is that, a 10 or 17% reduction in our Magicka builds across the board. Like that's great. That's back to like when the champion point tree used to have this in it. So that 17 allows us to get away with that. What may seem like a low Magicka, low mag recovery, but it really doesn't hurt us at all. And then the other 2 passes are great. This is why you can get away with some lower resistance, or what's it called. And the other one is max mag. Oh, great. Hey, look at these buffs. Alright, we're gonna go into the skills next though. I got, what's it called, active. I'm gonna just look at the tooltips real quick. 20k ultimate. Well, let's go over these. Degeneration, great new skill to have on the bar. I think it's a must. You could run entropy if you want more heals, or what is it? Yeah, structured entropy. You can run that one if you want more heals, but I've chosen this one for more sustain. This skill right here it's a great check. It's a great damage, but it's a great check for when you're outnumbered and you got like, let's say 5 people beating on you. You put this on all 5 of them, and you'll find out real fast who knows what they're doing. Because this damage right here is not to be messed with. It's not going to kill you, but it's definitely going to show you, oh, who's just spamming their buttons trying to kill me, not paying attention to their health. You put this on them right here, you'll find out real quick. You'll know who to focus down first. On top of the damage that it does now that's been boosted, you get your major sorcery, so you can drop those pots. You don't have to run crit surge or crit surge or what is it, power surge, one of them. Even though that skill's garbage now, run this one for your sorcery. And then on the bottom, you do get 100 magical recovery for light and heavy attacks against the enemy. Your next skill, Haunting Curse. I'm not going to talk about it. You know what it is. Endless, we already know what it is. Crushing, got a buff. Crushing now, it didn't get a buff so much as Force Pulse used to have increased damage. Now that damage is all lumped together. This morph still does the same thing while it interrupts and sets off balance, which is great. Off balance, I got to increase to 7 seconds from 5, so that's more damage right there. If you catch them trying to dark deal or you catch them trying to res, you pop them with this and it's got a 41 meter range. You got extra damage coming on them right there. So I would always go with this one over Force Pulse now. Crystal Frags, I'm not going to talk about it. and then Ice Comet. I chose Ice Comet this update because I don't like the cast time. Though it is only 0.4 seconds, it doesn't flow well. I used to be able to hit people and cancel this incredibly well, so they never knew that they got hit with a Dawnbreaker. But since we don't have that ability anymore, I don't want to feel slowed up in the game, so I've chosen to stay with Ice Comet. This is still an option though. It still hits hard, just not for me this patch. You could run Power, or you could run Overload if you choose. Storm Matching Knock is also good. It helps you out in those situations where you're getting jumped. You can line of sight it, or it could just simply help you not turn the tables all the way because you're probably getting X. Like I always am, man. But it will give you someone else out there to help you out. So that's your front bar right there. Back bar, got an 11k damage shield. This went through a little rework too. They increased the cost and they decreased the amount of damage we absorb in the shield. So after all that said and done, I'm still sitting at an 11k shield. It's great. My Harness Magicka sitting at 8k. So these two combined, we got a pretty good shield stack there. But I did try Dampen here. Dampen did make me tankier, hands down. However, since they did make that change where we don't get as much magic back from this, I did notice the difference between going from Dampen back to Harness. And I would recommend on Magicka Sorcerer, I can only speak for Sorcerer right now, that you continue to run Harness, because that magic recovery that you do get from it is noticeable, especially when you fight in outnumbered. And you don't just get this back from absorbing spell damage anymore. It's when the shield absorbs damage, period. You getting some of this magic back. It's not what it used to be, but it's something, and it's definitely noticeable, so I recommend you run this one over Dampen. Especially if you don't run this build as a Breton. Again, I only recommend you run this as a Breton. But if you don't run this as a Breton and you run Dampen, you are going to have problems with your sustain, period. Next skill up, Healing Ward. I love the changes that they did to this skill. It made it so that I don't need to run regeneration. But in a way, we kind of do have regeneration on the bar. I just don't see it right now. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But this skill right here is all the healing that we need. I mean, it used to just give us that upfront heal. Now it's a continuous little heal that we get. And so long as you cast Harden or Harness before you cast this shield right here, you'll always guarantee that you get the full duration of it. And if you're really hurt, as you can see right here, depending on the severity of your wounds, the shield gets stronger. Based on, and then you read the bottom right here, while the shield persists, the target is healed for 34% of the shield's remaining strength every second. So I've literally been getting jumped by 8 people. They damaged my health, got me pretty low. I pop Harden, Harness, and then this. And those 2 shields protect me to let this get off as many heals as it can. I'm back up to full health in like 3 seconds. It's great. This would be kind of what a secondary heal is. Primary focus, of course, is to give us some magical return. But I've got this to crit for 7k. I wouldn't rely on it as a burst heal. It's just secondary. Primary, of course, giving us resources return. This is our main stun. We did lose. I wasn't using it that much anyway, but we don't have access to like the flame reach, so we're not stunning people from across Cyrodiil, and we don't really run flame reach because we're not that close to the enemy all the time. I mean, as a Mag Sorg, I think from my personal playstyle, I prefer to be as far away from you as possible, so flame reach won't do it for me. So this stun right here, yes, you got to be close, but they kind of buff this skill in 2 ways. They reduce the cost. Casting it within like the 4 seconds right there used to be 50. That's not a thing anymore. And like I said, they reduced the cost of the skill. And that damage, that 6k shock damage, is not to be overlooked. You set this up in the perfect combo. You straight through somebody, you ended them. I got a few clips where people thought it was all gravy and they got ended by that shit. So definitely keep that on your bar. It's gonna take some playing with to get used to, because it's not. You may find yourself in the heat of the moment and forget to like, shit, I haven't stunned anybody, and then it's like, oh, let me streak over at them. Nah, you can do that, but you risk putting yourself in harm's way. You really have to use this strategically now, and if you can get a hold of that and you master that, then yeah, you'll take your game to the next level. If you want to put this on the front bar, you can. Mine's just always right here. It's just second nature for me to up switch to the back, hit R1 straight. This skill right here, this is probably my main ultimate right here. It provides more than what you see right here. Like, I just recently found out that not only does it cast these skills on the bottom, regeneration, busting, protection, steadfast ward, I didn't know that it casts the most of these skills. So with that said, this is my main ultimate. I use it all the time. You see it only costs 107 ultimate, but I use this even when I'm at full health. Why? Because of this skill right here, combat player. You scroll to the bottom right here, it grants minor berserk. What does minor berserk do? That increases your damage by 8%. It's like wearing slime pro. But it also makes you tankier with your shields, giving you physical and spell resist. This ultimate right here, I don't want to say bread and butter, but I'm using it all the time. Like I said, even at full health, I'm using this ultimate more than I am shooting, or more than I am ice comet, because it's got more to it. It's kind of a loaded skill, if you will. So those are my skills. Another thing I want to make mention of, notice how cheap all these skills are. These are some cheap ass skills. And that's all coming from being a Breton, which is why I wouldn't recommend running this build if you were not a Breton. Just my 2 cents. It can be done, I wouldn't recommend it. See? Those are the skills. Let's go over your champion points. Green, totally up to you. None of it really contributes towards damage. It's got a lot of survivability aspects to it, so break free. 66 Siphoner 7. That's just to put another dot on, so they got more to cleanse, because everybody's gonna have to have a cleanse in this patch. 75 Arcanist, 43 Mooncalf, 66 Tumbling, 13 Shadow Ward. If you needed points to play with, I'd move them from here. I got them here because I block cast. Blue is where all your damage is coming from. I've tried a few different setups, and this is what works best for me. So 56, 64, 30, 25, 72, and 23. The red tree is where all your tank is coming from. The video that I just put up, I got beat the hell up in a few of them clips. Well, they tried, and they all died. But, as you can see, I can tank quite a few people with this. And setup is 56 here, 48 in the resistant. I like to protect myself more from stand players and physical damage than anything else, because that shit just seems to eat Magicka for whatever goddamn reason. So I got 15 here, 49 here to max it out. I took points out of Elemental Defender. If you were going to take any points out of anywhere to play with in this tree, it would be here, because I'm a Breton. So if you weren't, then I would tell you kind of leave this in Hardy the same, leave them alone. You need points in the thick skin. If you don't put anything here, you will die way too fast. And I got 31 in the bashing. I saw what the shields do. I think I got it all. Again, this build, it can do it all. And I've had a lot of fun playing it. And just in only 2 days, I got all the damn clips, because I don't know if people are still trying to figure things out or not, but it hits hard. You got the sustain, and you got the defense. You can't ask for much more out of it than that. Just make sure you really get comfortable with the fact that streak is your only CC, and you'll be all right. That pretty much covers the build. You got any other questions, leave them below. I'm moving on to another class after this, so if you want to know anything else about the sword, like I said, just leave them below. I'll catch y'all later. Don't zerg me out here, y'all. I'm sick of getting jumped. I want to make me recruit some help. Alright.